Okay, Book Talk, this is take 2 of my live interview with Kirsten McKenzie because I got my timings wrong. I'm not in GMT anymore, I'm in British summertime, so that kind of screwed things up. So bear with me, I'm going to be talking to Kirsten very shortly. Her latest book is called The Forge and the Thief. I think I got that the right way wrong. Let me double check that. It is called The Forger and the Thief, I did. It is a historical thriller and it looks absolutely fantastic. I have started reading. She's got one of those voices that just draws you straight in. She could write a manual for a washing machine. It would be exciting. So I cannot wait to talk to her about her book and about her journey. And I'm just going to see if she's available now. Okay, let's see if she's live. There she is. I'm going to invite her in and we are going to get going on our chat. There you are. Hello, my lovely. How are you?
Hello. We did it.
We did it. This is take 2 for me because I realised I was looking at GMT time and forgetting I'd moved to British summertime. Right. So all my timings were wrong. So I'm going to have to be very careful with my next interviews that I don't screw that up and haven't screwed myself over with the timings. But there we go. So it's nighttime for you. It's so
here we are
to think that we are like almost 12 hours apart and I'm just starting my day and you are coming to the end. But there we go. That's
coming
good.
to the end. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Winding up. Yeah, I've got a lot to get through still. So for anybody that doesn't know you or your books, just give us a little intro into what you write so we can run to Amazon or wherever and buy all your books. Yeah,
absolutely. So there's 2 halves to me. Okay. So first of all, there's the half that pays the bills. So these are that time travel. It's the time travel trilogy.
Yeah.
It starts off in London, of course, in the old curiosity shop.
Nice.
What else would an ex-antique dealer write about? So that was originally traditionally published, and then back in 2019, I got the rights back and moved publishers to a New Zealand publisher.
Right.
And then the other half of me, so in between researching time travel mysteries set across 3 continents and 2 centuries, I take a break in between each one and trot out a paranormal thriller.
So so there are paranormal elements to these thrillers then, are there, as well?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. A little bit. A little bit.
That's right up my street. I started reading Forger and the Thief, and I was saying to Book Talk before you came to join me that you just have one of those voices that draws you straight in, and I immediately want to know what's going on, even though I don't care who the character is. It's just, when you just like a style and you enjoy it. And I'm definitely going to be carrying on with all of your work, so I can't wait. Yeah. Fantastic.
That is too kind. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit then about, you said you had these traditionally published books. How did that come to be with your time travel stuff?
So with my time travel stuff, back in the day, I was a customs officer, and I'm one of those lucky people that can say that I loved my job. I worked in London and I worked in New Zealand, and then my father died unexpectedly, and so my brother and I took over the family business, which was an antique shop here in Auckland.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever been antique shopping in winter, but nobody else does. So it was a very slow day at work.
Yeah.
And I said to my brother that I was going to write a book. And my brother said, well, you never finish anything. And I was like, wow.
Challenge.
Wow. And I didn't know anything about publishing. So I finished 15 Postcards, which is the first book in the trilogy.
Okay.
And I naively started sending it away to publishers, and on my 6th attempt, a publisher in the UK said sure. So I was like, oh, this is easy.
Oh, good.
And then they published who knew it was so easy? And then they published my 2nd book, but they no longer exist. So
right.
That's when I took all the rights back.
Yeah. It's nice to have that.
And they're also available on.
Yeah, go on.
Absolutely, the control.
Yeah.
And I changed all the covers. I should have thought about it. Shall I show you what the covers used to be? Does anyone want to see?
I do, definitely.
I'll get them.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
Okay.
Hang on.
This will be interesting. Oh, I'm a bit chatty this morning, so do excuse me. It's not COVID. I've had that. It's fine.
All right.
Okay.
So this is the new genre-specific cover.
Yeah.
This is the old cover.
Oh wow! Look at the difference. I don't even know what that's trying to say on the original one.
No.
Gosh.
Yeah. And then that's the second book.
Yeah.
And then this was the cover they did for the second book.
Oh. Yeah.
So that's what having control.
Do you know?
That's what having control or lack of control.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes these publishers have these in-house cover creators who try to do all these different genres and don't really know what they're aiming at. But I love the covers that you've chosen. Thank you. Oh, how did you? I find cover design really difficult. I couldn't do it as a job. I just think it's really hard.
No.
And my cover designer, I think, is brilliant. And I tell her what the book's about. And I tell her if I've got a vague concept. And she comes up. I don't know how she does it. She just comes up with these amazing concepts. No. So how did you...
Cover designers are... Yeah. They're magic, right? Oh. Magical cover designers. I knew that I wanted sort of the mystical symbols. And then she just said to me, well, you pick the image that you want. And then she just did the rest. Right. It was amazing.
Right, that's clever. That's a good way to
And then it was just easy.
Yeah.
So she was, but when we did Forger and the Thief, so I've had the same cover designer for all the books. That was it's because Forger and the Thief is set in Florence in 1966 in the flood of the Arno River. So, and it's slightly paranormal, which might be hard for some people to grasp, but so the concept of the water falling out of the frame, because it's about art forgery.
Yeah.
And that was my idea, but she put it all together. Yeah. I mean, I'm just in love with it. She chose the font and the
And I think when you see the whole thing, you know if a font's right or wrong. Even if you can't pinpoint why, you can know when an element's not working or something like that. But then, and I'm like that. I'm like, well, I love that, but I don't quite like the font, but I don't know why. Can you try something else? And she'll come back and she'll be like, da 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 da. And I'm like, oh yes. So it's so nice. And I think covers, they really are so important. And as much as we say don't judge a book by its cover, we do. And the cover says 100%. Everything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've got another friend on Book Talk, another New Zealand author, Stacey Broadbent, and she's just recently changed some of her covers, and she's just nailed it.
Yeah,
it's amazing how well she's doing.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy for her.
Oh, good. And you've got to look at your market and see what's selling, what's popular. But then also, like, if you've got a series out for 10 years, say, I mean, I've had my trilogy out for 3 years now, and I kind of think, well, in another few years, do I need to go and redo the covers just to update to whatever's, even though I love the covers, I don't know. We'll see if we get there. Yeah.
And I think, that's the same with 15 postcards. 2019 was when I got the whole trilogy out with those new covers. And I was like, maybe you're right. In another couple of years, themes have moved on. The readers have changed their feel about time travel, and so we'll need to adjust our covers to suit the new market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just need to draw them in, don't you?
I mean, Agatha Christie's dead, but she's still putting out new covers. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah, they do. I mean, even when you think about the greats like Stephen King, for instance. I mean, he constantly gets new covers for his books, updating with probably every 10 years, isn't it, to update to the modern
absolutely.
So and I get annoyed when I'm like looking on Amazon and I can't find the cover of the book that I actually have for a screenshot or something, because I'm thinking that's not my version. I don't want that one. No, not that picture, even if the other one's updated. I don't care.
I'm one of those people who on Goodreads will scroll through all the 200 editions to find the edition that I have, so that I can then say this is the edition that I've read. On Goodreads.
I ought to do that. No, that's good. So Book Talk, how did you find your way to Book Talk?
Again, through Stacey, actually,
Right.
Stacey Broadbent. And she and I were at a author event last year before New Zealand shut down again, and and there were some teenage girls running around, and I was like, well, I don't know how to do book talk, so I paid these strange wee girls to film a book talk for me. Brilliant. And I thought, oh, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And I was a bit slow at the start, and then this year I've gone, no, I just have to, because I love Twitter. I don't know if I'm going to love Twitter in the new world, and I love Instagram, and I was like, well, you know what, I can learn to love book talk, TikTok, and become more familiar with it. So I dedicated myself to doing my best.
So you knew book talk existed then? You knew it was out there, and you thought, I'm gonna.
But I didn't realize how big it was. And then when I start seeing all these pictures of bookstores with book talk tables, I'm like, this is huge. And I don't think New Zealand's not there yet in terms of booksellers embracing book talk. And I think they're missing the boat.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't think the UK is really either. I think some of the London Waterstones do it. But I know my local Waterstones, I go in and like, they haven't got a book talk table, they haven't got a local author table. And I was talking to the manager and he's like scratching his going, yeah, maybe we should start doing that. I'm like, you know, I know we're only a little, well, not that little. We're only 25 miles from London. So, you know, we're not out on the boonies. And I'm thinking, you do. And I think I should just apply for a job there and start rearranging things. So, and then I'd get all the indie books off book talk and put them on the table, you know.
Yeah, of course. I wish that they would embrace change a little bit more. You know, you can't just keep here in New Zealand. It's a little bit literary, and indie books very rarely get a look in.
It's frustrating.
So I have but in terms of book talk, the booksellers here need to embrace it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when you were in your antique shop and you decided you were going to write a book, had you had any, like, had you done English at university? You know, did you have any inclination that that was going to be something you wanted to do? No. Oh, I love it.
No. I had done English at school and I had done okay. And I had always thought that I wanted to write children's stories. And then, honestly, it was just the things in the shop, in the antique shop, when I saw them, and when you read the book, occasionally she'll be talking about a specific item, and it'll be like, so say on the day I was polishing a brass vase, and I'd be like, oh, I wonder if there were flowers in this vase, and then who gave her the flowers, and then I'd whip out my notebook and take a whole lot of notes, and then there was a pudding bowl, and then there was brooches, and then there was a necklace, and so all of these things that came into the shop were what actually directed the story. And we have one customer, Manus, and I asked him permission. I said, Manus, because he looked a bit like a pirate. In fact, my daughters called him the pirate because he had a like a little skull hanging from his ear, like a little ornament skull. And I said, can I put you in my book? Because I think you'd make a great character. And so, Manus is in there, and he's in the shop, and he's there when Sarah Lester first disappears. And so, the shop really shaped the whole story.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that influence. Yeah, that's lovely. And I have been to, my mother is a strong antiquer, so I spent a lot of my childhood sitting in dusty corners, counting the hours down. The amount of times we would drive to Europe on a vacation and then come back with a table and chairs that my brother and I had to somehow fit, you know, or whatever it was, you know. So, wow, I love how inspiration comes from so many different places like that. And just gets your brain juices going, doesn't it? And I bet then any
absolutely
came in, you were like, right, what am I writing down about them?
Exactly. And and the annoying customers, they ended up in the book as well. And you know, I always remember one lady came in and she wanted a green glass jug, which is quite specific. And we just happened to have 3 green glass jugs, and I showed her them. She goes, oh no, they're not the right green.
Right.
It's like, It's like I just showed you 3. Anyway, so she's in there.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is, but you know, her and her green glass jugs. To this day, it still annoys me. Yeah.
I mean,
sorry, green glass jug.
All those times you've had to button your lip, you can just let rip in your book, can't you? And be like, yeah, oh, I love it.
Yeah,
that is fantastic. Yeah.
So, do you write?
Yeah.
Do you write evil co-workers into your books?
No, one of them did have like my ex-best friends. So growing up in our team, you know, we were so close through high school and stuff like that. And then it all fell apart. There wasn't like a big falling out, but there were lots of little chinks of betrayal and mistrust. And it wasn't until years later that I realised...
those are good words.
Yeah, a nasty piece of work she was, and how badly she treated me. So I do have a character that I've written in one of my books that is her, and that's me trying to have my cathartic moment, because one of my stress dreams is actually dreaming about her. She crops up in my dreams occasionally, and I think it's, I don't know, maybe I get angry about how I didn't see through it when I was younger, or the hurt that I experienced, or there's some residual whatever. So I thought, I'm going to write about this and see if that helps, you know. And it felt good. It felt good making her die. No, she doesn't actually die, but I put her through hell. So that felt good. Yeah. But apart from that, I don't have any other characters I really pick on in that respect. I think, no, I haven't. Just her, and that's enough. Maybe there will be in the future. Who knows? You know, I kind of feel like there needs to be a Chad and a Karen at some point. You know, as a bit discussed on,
for sure.
Yeah, everybody's villain or whatever. That's good. So when you started writing, how did you know how to write your book? Like,
I guess I wrote the way I like to read, where you get to the end of a chapter and you immediately want to go to the next chapter. You don't want to be the person who goes, I'll just read one chapter and then I'll go to bed. You want to be the person who goes, I'll just read one chapter. Oh, I'll just read another one, and I'll just read another one. So I do tend to write each of my chapters ending on a bit of a crescendo, and that's done purposely. Yeah. That's how I write.
Yeah.
How else did I know how to write? I really don't even know how to answer that.
I mean, like when you think
I just wanted
you learn about character development or plot structure, or you know, how did you figure out that stuff? Yeah.
Character development. It was interesting because one reviewer very early on said that the main character in 15 Postcards was a bubblehead, and I hadn't finished the second book, and I was like, you know what? He's got a really good point. She is a bit bubbleheadish in the first book. Okay. So she came into her own in the second and third books. And I'm really grateful to that reviewer, because it really made me think more consciously about how I treat my characters and what I do with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it wasn't, that was I don't think his review wasn't terribly scathing. It was like a 3-star.
Yeah.
But that one review, and I do read my reviews. They say not to, but I do read my reviews. That one review really changed me for the better.
It's amazing when a comment like that hits home, because I think it resonates and you recognise that's something you need to work on, and it can totally change you. So that's a fantastic story. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And bubblehead was such a weird choice of words for this reviewer to use, and I was like, he's right. He's absolutely right. She is in the first book. She is a bit of an airhead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say what you meant by bubblehead, but airhead. Yeah, airhead makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Needs a bit more depth. Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in a trilogy that does happen. The character grows. You know,
absolutely.
Katniss Everdeen, she grows.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think when you write series, it's really interesting what you can do with your characters, because you have your arc for your first book, but you have your arc for the series as well, and how far you can push them, and then they start making, they can be pushed too hard and start making bad decisions again, and
for
get
sure.
reverse arcs, and I think it's super interesting. Yeah. So do you have beta readers or critique partners now that you rely on to help?
I do.
Find stuff like that, or no?
I do. So I have two beta readers. I have one American beta reader and one English beta reader.
Yeah.
And that's because I don't want my American readers to not have any idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Painted, my that's my gothic ghost story. My American beta reader goes, well, what's a harb? I was like, what do you mean, what's a harb? She goes, well, what's a harb?
Yeah.
I said, oh, it's a stovetop. She goes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then she'd go, what's a metal road? I was like, well, a gravel road. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of that. Yeah.
I wouldn't know metal.
And then my editor will go,
that's new to me as well.
You don't, maybe that must be a Kiwi one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my editor will be like, you can't say pants, you have to say trousers.
Yeah.
So we don't want to offend the English.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. See,
my characters were in London wearing pants.
Yeah. When my family's American and we moved here just before I was born, and my dad we were in the supermarket, I think, when I was about 5, and he said I was misbehaving, and he's like, if you don't stop misbehaving, I'm going to smack your fanny. Now, fanny in America is your butt, but it's something very different in the UK. Yeah. So clearly he got lots of looks about what that was about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got, and just such an innocuous word sometimes can have totally different meanings that you don't necessarily realise at all. So it's funny, really funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I know that when I worked in London, and I told my co-workers that I was going tramping in the weekend, and they all looked at me very strangely. I was like, oh, I'm going tramping in the Brecon Beacons, and they're really looking at me.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you mean hiking? You're going hiking. I say, yeah, hiking, not tramping. No, not tramping at all. Not tramping.
Oh, I love it. It's so funny how these words evolve. Yeah, perfect.
And that's why you have to have an editor and beta readers. Yeah. You can't do it alone.
Yeah. I tend to write,
especially when you're writing for an international audience.
Yeah, I mean, most of my books are set in the US because I grew up reading American fiction, and that's just how I've been influenced. But I do have some here, so I will write in the language of the style of wherever the book is set. Because I don't want to have lots of.
Right.
When you're with a mainstream publisher and they can have lots of different versions, that's fine. But when it's just me, so if it's set in America, it will have American spellings and American words, and if it's set here, I do the opposite. So, I wouldn't know enough to set a book in New Zealand. There'd have to be British on holiday or something, and then learn some
of course,
fun words. There we go. Yeah. So you've written, I guess you've got this paranormal, speculative across all of your books. Is that what you tend to read as well? Is that your favorite kind of thing?
What I tend to, I read really broadly. So I read a lot of crime, like psychological crime, and I read a lot of nonfiction.
Okay.
And I read a lot of historical fiction. So your Ken Follett's, Edward Rutherford.
Yeah.
But I also read, Deborah Harkness, Discovery of Witches, and Diana Gabaldon.
Yeah.
And so I guess the way that those women in particular, and Edward Rutherford with his books, twist fiction through fact. That's what I love to read.
Yeah.
Most of all. And with the exception of Painted and Dr. Perry, everything's got fact in it as well.
Yeah.
All throughout my time travel, there's all factual things that happen. I only once moved a battle about 500 miles closer, but I said that in an author's note. For the purposes of the story, I just moved all the soldiers just a little bit closer so that we could hear the battle. That was all.
Yeah, and writing about...
So, you know, I love...
yeah. You love...
Oh, I was going to say I love the historical fiction.
Yeah. And I think all of that, you know, from what you've said, what you enjoy reading, it's influenced the style of what you write. And I love how we get all of our influences from that. But I was going to say about writing about time travel, though, because one of the books that I'm working on at the moment is about time loop rather than time travel.
Right.
And
lovely.
But sometimes I regret it, because I kind of think you've got to think of your rules, obviously, when you've got time. Time is such a headache, because, you know, I think most people don't actually understand time to, you know, in depth. And then trying to understand it yourself, let alone trying to establish your rules and what happens in the paradoxes. And so how did you approach time in books? Yeah.
So I just had it that Sarah disappears. It was just much easier to deal with it that way. And so it was like a door. She could only go out or she could only come in.
Right.
She couldn't be in two places at once. And that was much easier. And she does disappear for quite a fair amount of time. So her time that she disappears for is similar to what she's away for. That doesn't make sense. Her time in the New World is similar to how long she's disappeared for.
Yeah.
Stephen, I'm getting confused now.
I know.
I just tried to make it make sense as to, because she's running an antique shop, so somebody has to. So her friends are worried because the antique shop is unlocked and she's not there. So it had to make sense in the real world.
Yeah, do you know, you reminded me of a book I read called All Our Wrong Todays, which I loved, and it was about time and also a love story. But the guy that goes back in time, he either experiences he's in this black void where he's there for a long time but he doesn't age, and then he can come back and it's only like a minute later from when he disappeared, but he's been in there for years, not aging and not in this weird. Or you get situations where people are gone for a minute, but you know, years have passed. You know, you think like Planet of the Apes and how that was originally done and stuff. It's so confusing. So I mean, that's one of the things I think is even harder to write about time, because you've got to be so clear in your head what your rules are, so that the reader is clear what's going on. Like magic system as well, you know, it's the same kind of.
And then your family tree. I spent a lot of time working on the family tree because I had a real problem with the first book, and then finally I realized that the gender of one of the babies that had been born actually needed to be a boy, not a girl, so the surname could still be right further down the So now I have big family trees, a genealogy chart.
All those little details that you think, you know, that's the way forward.
And now I've started a new trilogy, so you know,
that leads very nicely onto what I was about to ask you, which is what is next. So tell us about
what is next.
Trilogy. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but I'll lean forward. So this is it's a bit fuzzy. It's a Emperor Hadrian coin.
Okay.
That my husband gave me, and I love Roman history. And every year, pre-pandemic, every year I would come to the UK and go and volunteer up at Vindolanda, up at the Roman fort up there.
Oh.
This is not from the fort. No.
Okay.
my husband bought that for me. But and so I'm writing a new time travel trilogy set in a fictional fort next to Vindolanda, because you know, that way I can just make it up as I go along.
Absolutely.
And I finished it. It's currently been edited, and it's got some of the characters from my first series. Not my main characters, but the some of the side characters, and they wanted to come out and play.
Yeah.
And so they're going to come and play in Holt. We're still in Hexham, up in Northumberland there.
Right.
And they're going to go back in time to Roman times. So that has been fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking for. And when do you plan to get those out? Do you have a date?
I was hoping July, because that is in theory when I'm going to be up in the UK, but editing hasn't finished yet. So it might be Christmas time, but it will be out this year. So it's called Ithaca Bound.
Right.
And the name of the fictional fort is Ithaca. And
nice.
And it's been a lot of fun. And one of my most inspirational things for research was I listened to the Fall of Civilizations podcast. And one of the episodes was about the fall of the British Roman Empire. Gosh.
Wow.
I've listened to it several times now.
Wow.
I've loved it.
Wow. And yeah, I mean, those things just give you so many ideas, don't they?
Yeah.
It's for the details and the layers and all of that. It's great. You can go down such a rabbit hole listening to these podcasts and watching documentaries and especially when it's Romans. I mean, there's so much,
100%.
so much history.
Yeah.
Which is why I would never write historical.
Yeah. Why I can't.
Yeah, too much research.
I can't wait to come back. I've missed it so much.
Yeah.
I've missed travel. Gosh.
Yeah.
I've missed travel a lot because we travelled to Florence for researching this, and I travelled to India for researching the trilogy.
Wow.
And here at the bottom of the world, not having any travel.
No.
2.5 years. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful that you're travelling. I was trying to get
I'm bereft.
Yeah, to go on a weekend trip to Transylvania because I'm doing a young adult Dracula retelling. And I haven't been. I've always been fascinated.
Nice.
I don't know if he's going for it, but I'd really like to go and just see the area.
Gosh, wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be. Yeah, it would be. But if you are coming to the UK and you're anywhere near London, let me know. We'll meet up for a drink if you've got.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm going to be in London. I'm going to be in London for a week first, and then I'll be going up to Northumberland for 2 weeks.
Nice.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. So a bit more about your process. Do you plot? Are you a plotter or a pantser? Yeah. Pantser. Yeah.
I bought Plotter, and I sat down and I tried to use it for Ithaca Bound, and I got about 14 chapters in, and I just the plot just took off down some weird tangent involving the mayor and the mayor's wife and a bit of fraud, and the plot couldn't handle that. So yeah.
I love the way you explain that. Like, this is what it is, and that's how I do it. Yeah.
Well, anything. And then she drove her Range Rover into a wall, and and I just had to carry on without the plot, without plot. So
I did. I also subscribed to Plotter, and I thought another author introduced me to it, and I am a plotter, so I like to see things visually. But I haven't really gotten to use it yet. I've got so much editing to do that it's not really useful for that in the same way. But I'm excited about trying to plot out this new book. I will try and use Plotter and see if it works. I don't know. Normally, I mean, I've got processes I've used prior to that, but I always like to try new things and see if it works or not works, or
Plotter works for one of my friends, and she swears by it. She loves it, but it doesn't work for my brain. I guess because I started out writing at the shop and being inspired by the things around me.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be walking around the park and see a couple interacting, feeding the cows or something, and go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. And I would rather have that inspiration than sit down and plot it on a virtual post-it.
Yeah. I think I do both because I plot, but I allow room for things to change. But it gives me the confidence to carry on. That I'm not going to get stuck somewhere. That's just me.
will be honest and say that for every single one of my books, including the one I just finished, I got to 30,000 words.
Yeah.
And then I got stuck.
Yeah.
And the next 20,000 was so hard. And then after that, it was fine.
It was fine.
So,
yeah.
But to be honest, I do get stuck and I get lost and I've got to, and I spend, a month, 2 months not writing anything. And then it's.
Yeah. But if you know now,
that's just me now.
That's your process. That's how you write.
Yeah.
And if you know what to do to get out of it, then that's how it works. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So on the lines of the hard parts, what do you find hard about writing or publishing, or that whole? What's the hardest part for you? Yeah.
What do I find hard? I find it like I'm really comfortable talking on a stage. So if I was at a literary festival, completely comfortable talking on stage.
Good.
But I find it incredibly hard pitching myself to that literary festival, or pitching myself to a bookshop or a bookseller. But once I'm on a stage or talking to someone, it's fine. But and that, so we have the saying in the house, be more American. So the Americans, and I hope there's some Americans listening, seem to be really comfortable with not pushing themselves forward. That's the wrong word. About promoting themselves. And so I try to be more American.
No, that's your.
But I do have to swallow down my imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I don't mind. I love being on panels and at literary festivals. It's like, because I write young adult, it's the school assemblies and things like that I just. So I went to the Guardian newspaper. They run a public speaking workshop thing for a day. So I went with like 5 other author friends, and it was great. But how you said be more American, we had this one exercise where we had to walk around the room. And we had to try being a general. We had to try being a superhero. We had to try being a member of royalty. All of these authoritative figures, to feel what felt the best. So it was almost like you were putting on a costume and taking those qualities and making them your own. Yeah. And I quite liked the general. I don't know why that appealed to me. It did. And so I think of that now. I think I'm putting on my general costume. People are here to listen to me. They wouldn't dare snigger or giggle or whatever. So it was a really useful technique. But put on your American costume, and I am here. So
for sure.
Yeah. That's lovely. Yeah. Have you been traveling to the States as well? Did you freeze? No.
No. I haven't been to the States for a while.
Long time.
Last time we went to New York. I just prefer England. Sorry, America.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy my time. I didn't enjoy my time in New York. I do prefer beaches and wide open spaces.
I don't love New York. I find it quite...
And, you get lots of wide open spaces in England. That's
true. Although, I much prefer an ocean to a countryside. Countryside doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah.
And I know friends who visit us from California, and they're like, oh my God, everything's so green. It's amazing. And yeah, that's true. But I give me a mountain lake or the beach, and then I'm happy. Yeah. But New York, I would agree with you. New York's not my favorite place. I find it quite hostile, I guess. But I love Boston and I love San Francisco. So there are other cities that I do love, but the beach is just a nice place to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do for marketing? Do you have a plan?
What do I do for marketing? So I pay for my Amazon advertising.
Mm-hmm. But have you?
What else do I do?
Is it working?
I pay.
Yeah.
Have I cracked it? I make money on Amazon.
Okay.
And after I did Brian Cohen's free 5-day Amazon ad challenge about 3 years ago, that was the best thing that I've done. Maybe it was a good way of really understanding the Amazon ad platform.
Right.
I don't do Facebook advertising because I haven't got my head around it and I just lose money. My girlfriend does Facebook advertising and does really well. She writes steamy, shirtless, happily ever after romances.
Yeah.
And that works out really well for her. I've also done blog tours, and I know that some people say that they don't work, but you know what blog tours do? They introduce you to a whole lot of amazing bloggers that you then create relationships with, and they have a great following. And so I am more than happy to still pay for my blog tours every time a new book comes out, and I do think that they're valuable and worth their time.
Yeah. And I think if you can,
and also I pitch myself to all the
go on, sorry.
All the newspaper, well, locally newspapers and newspapers and magazines here.
Yeah.
And like, why wouldn't you? They're always looking for content. So why wouldn't you just write the content yourself?
Yeah.
So I have another girlfriend who specializes in press releases. So I'll write it, send it to her. She'll rewrite it, send it to me, and then I'll send it out to all the
That's good.
the media companies. And that, don't be scared of doing that, because they're always looking for content. Just because you're not Stephen King, you know, they need something to fill that last, four column inches or that last quarter of a page or something.
That's true. I think especially if you go for your local newspapers and magazines and things, because to have the local author, whatever, does really well. And one of my books is actually set in an old asylum that used to be an asylum near me. It's now been converted into some luxury apartments, which are apparently haunted. But I set one of my novels there and pretended it's still a mental health hospital. So that gets a lot of interest, because it's local. And I totally agree.
Yeah, of course.
Things like that is good. I too do.
You have to find your
So I think our timing is slightly out, but carry on.
You have to find your hook. So I was saying you have to find your hook. So I was in the antique shop. I was held up at gunpoint one day at work, and it was quite traumatic, but nothing that several bottles of wine haven't fixed over the years. But I put the that experience, a fictionalized version of it, in here, because my main character works in an antique shop, and so I wrote it into the book. And you know what? And after I did that, I stopped having nightmares.
Wow!
It's almost like I had I divested myself of that negative energy.
Yeah.
But when I was pitching 15 postcards, when it was re-released, it was here's the girl whose armed robbery,
right,
was the inspiration for her book. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, makes me think I could use that. I had an incident not as serious as yours when I was a child in California, and someone, this drunk 20-year-old, rolled down on his pickup truck and fired a gun. It either wasn't loaded, or I don't know what the situation was, but obviously no one was hurt, and I was terrified, and I've had dreams about that. But I do have, in one of my newer novels, my character is suffering from PTSD because she's been in a shooting. So it's amazing how these things, and I didn't even think I was doing it for myself. But now that you said that, I kind of think, actually, I might be exercising something here. It's interesting. Little revelation for me.
Yeah, it was really cathartic.
Yeah, good. I find writing cathartic. I mean, it is my therapy. Keeps me centered. I love it, all of it.
Right.
So it's wonderful. Right, we are getting to the end. We've got some fun questions left. As a writer, what would you choose as your spirit animal or your mascot? Do you have
a tiger for sure?
Oh, clearly. Yeah. I like that.
A tiger.
Yeah.
Goes without saying.
Yeah. Tigers are my favourite land animals.
I mean, they're a cat.
Yeah.
They still just get...
Yeah. I love a tiger. Good
And the tigers
answer.
get to just lie around and do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until they pounce. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you could only drink one drink and eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? It does not have to be a healthy choice.
It would definitely be a dessert. Oh, I was going to say dessert wine, but I'm actually going to go for something lighter. I'd be going for a Pinot Gris, an ice cold Pinot Gris.
Nice.
And for food, it would just have to be a platter of strawberries.
Nice. I like those choices. And do you know,
Yeah.
when I was asked this question, I went alcohol, and you are the only one who I've asked this question to who's gone for the wine. And I'm like, what is wrong with people? Go for the wine. Yeah, absolutely.
What did other people say? What did other people say?
We've had tea and coffee and, macchiato. We've had all sorts of things. So, yeah. No. Okay. Have you got a favourite colour?
Yes, Tiffany blue.
Tiffany blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. So when I go to the stationery shop to get my annual notebook, I always go for the Tiffany blue.
Tiffany blue.
Yeah.
Right. I think of that as like a cornflower blue.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit paler, from what I can see. Nice. I like how you have an exact shape. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Have you got
quite partial to Tiffany's? So
yeah. I like that. Okay. Have you got any pets?
I do. I have. I've got 2 cats, both rescue cats. One of them is in solitary confinement in the bathroom as we speak, as she is recovering from an injury, and so she is on really strong medication, which makes her super friendly and super smoochy, and but she's not allowed to do any jumping, so she's she's shut in the bathroom.
Aww.
So everyone in the family is using that bathroom to go to the toilet so that we can keep her company.
Yeah. Bless her.
Yeah. And the other one, the other one's here. Hang on.
Oh.
And this is the other one.
Oh, lovely. Look at those colours.
Yeah.
What a love. Oh, looks like a tiger.
She prefers my daughter over anybody else.
Right.
But she likes to be in the office with me for some peculiar reason. Yeah. She doesn't like me, but she likes being in the office with me.
Must be a vibe in the room. Yeah.
So they're both rescue cats.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Marvel or DC? What would you choose? If you have a preference.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to choose Marvel because I have to choose Marvel. So I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she and I are slowly going through the entire Marvel universe in time order, not cinematic release order, but
chronological order. Yeah,
Marvel world order.
Yeah.
So she's seen them all, and now now we're watching them together.
Yeah.
And then she makes me rate them.
Yeah.
After every movie.
So what's been your favourite so far?
Yeah. Well, I was very partial to Captain America as my lead, and then I've just seen the Avengers, which has just pipped Captain America at the post.
Okay. Yeah. Nicely done. We did the same thing.
I'm also, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a Marvel person too, and we just finished watching all of them actually. And I also watch all the Spider-Man movies with my youngest because we love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my hero.
Right.
Yeah. So yay Marvel. All right. Your last question. Oh no, it's not your last question. Your penultimate question. What 3 books would you give to an alien?
Ooh. Gosh, that is a good question. I would give them a copy of Wilding by Isabella Tree, which is nonfiction.
Okay.
And that is about rewilding the UK, essentially. Because I would hope that aliens would not muck it up any more than we already have. My second book would be to really confuse them, A Discovery of Witches, and then maybe they might think that we also have vampires and demons and witches amongst our population. Yeah.
Good.
And Matt Haig's I was going to say Matt Haig's The Invisible Library, only because I found that life-changing.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Fab. Good choices.
Yeah.
I like these. Yeah. I like these books. Yeah. Really good choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I'm reading The Christmas Pudding by Agatha Christie.
Oh, good. Yeah.
My goal is to read all of her books, so I'm slowly working my way through all of them. I think I've read 2 this year, so this is my 3rd one this year.
Nice.
Yeah, I've read lots now, and I try and collect the sort of the oldest ones I can find when I see them in shops.
That's nice. Good charity shop finds, I think, for Agatha Christie. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, last question. Have you got any talents that would help you survive the Hunger Games?
Yes. So remember when I told you that I was a customs officer?
Yes.
Back in the day. Well, I used to manage customs dog units, so I was in charge of all of the drug dogs and the explosive detector dogs.
Fascinating.
And so I know how to handle explosives.
Wow.
And drugs, so I can kill you with the drugs, or I can blow you up.
Yeah, that's useful and scary of you. I am now scared of you. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Has any of your customs or dog stuff or bomb stuff made it into your books?
Yeah. So in the trilogy, I have a customs officer who is a mashup of some former supervisors, and it was very enjoyable writing him in as the character that he is, who's not a nice character.
Okay, good. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into that.
So, but so researching 1860s customs, customs and excise in London was fun.
Yeah, I bet that was. And when you think about how, I don't know, I'm just thinking of like when the Titanic or other ships would go to America, and you would obviously get, the working classes and people emigrating, and they would just get written down on a list, wouldn't they? And I bet the customs was fascinating. Yeah, or the development of it as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good. Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you coming to talk to me all about your books, which sound amazing. That's all right. And getting to know you a little bit better, which has been fascinating. So I love hearing about the person behind the books as well. It's great. And if you do come, when you do come,
and we'll have a wine in July when I come to London.
That would be lovely. We should
Yeah.
see if we can gather while you're here
Thank you.
a few book talk authors and have a little drink together in London. That would be lovely. Yeah. I'll see what I can do. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. I will let you
Thank
get
you
on with
so
your
much,
evening.
Marissa, for tonight.
And back to your wine, which I know you want because we are the same. That's clearly good. And keep in touch and feel free to come back and chat to me whenever you would like. When your new trilogy comes out, we can have you back on and you can come to tell us a bit more about that. And until July, when I will see you in the flesh, which will be great. Lovely. Cool. Take care.
And you know what? And I can't wait to read your Dracula retelling.
Oh yeah, well it'll be a while because I'm just at the research and plotting stage. I'm hoping to write it this year. And then it goes to my agent. Okay. Obviously anything my agent doesn't sell, I think about self-publishing. So it'll be a while, but there's other things before that. So there that you might like. So thank you. Much appreciated. That's good. Good. All right. I'll leave you to it. Talk soon. Bye. Okay, our timing did get a little bit wonky there, so I hope you could keep up with the chat. That was the fabulous Kirsten McKenzie. What a lovely human she is. And hearing about some of her journey, both as an author and a person, has been absolutely fascinating. I think she's fantastic, and I think her books are fantastic, and I hope you go and check them out. The latest one is called The Forager and the Thief, which is a historical thriller with paranormal supernatural elements. And until next time, if you would like to be the star of the show, please find the link in my Google form and apply. I would love to have you.